Have you ever looked at a Washington quarter and immediately tossed it aside without a second thought? What if one of those ordinary-looking quarters was hiding a story so unusual, so fascinating, that collectors across America would stop and take notice? Today's first coin is exactly the kind of discovery that keeps treasure hunters searching through pocket change, old jars, forgotten drawers, and family coin collections every single day. First up, at first glance, this 1979 Washington quarter without a mint mark might seem like just another coin from the late 1970 SC. Most people would never imagine that a coin carrying decades of history could still spark excitement among collectors. But sometimes the most interesting treasures are the ones that blend into the crowd. Picture this. A coin sits quietly for years. It passes from one hand to another. It travels through stores, banks, cash registers, and collections. Nobody pays attention to it. Then one day, someone notices something different. Small black dots. An unusual gray layer across parts of the surface. Additional dark spotting visible on the reverse side. Suddenly, what looked ordinary begins to attract a second look. The Washington Quarter series is one of the most recognized coin designs in American history. First introduced in 1932 to honor President George Washington, these coins became a permanent part of American commerce. Generations of Americans carried them in their pockets, spent them at local businesses, and stored them away in collections. The 1979 issue represents an important era in modern U.S. coinage, a period when millions of quarters were produced for circulation across the country. This particular example stands out because of the condition and appearance being discussed by collectors. The black dots and gray surface characteristics create a distinctive look that immediately catches attention. While many circulated quarters show signs of wear, unusual visual characteristics often encourage collectors to inspect a coin more closely. Experienced hobbyists know that every unusual detail deserves investigation because sometimes the smallest features can become the biggest talking points. The composition of the 1979 Washington quarter reflects modern American coin production. These quarters were struck using a copper nickel-clad composition, designed for durability and everyday use. Even though millions were produced, not every surviving example looks the same decades later. Environmental exposure, storage conditions, circulation history, and surface preservation can all create unique appearances that make one coin different from another. Imagine finding a coin that has survived nearly half a century. Think about everything it may have witnessed. Economic changes, historic events, countless transactions. Yet somehow it remains here today, waiting to tell its story to a new generation of collectors. One reason collectors remain fascinated by older Washington quarters is the constant search for unusual examples. Every year, hobbyists examine thousands of coins hoping to discover something overlooked. Sometimes it is an unusual appearance. Sometimes it is a rare variety. Sometimes it is simply a coin that stands apart from the crowd because of its distinctive condition and preservation. For collectors, condition plays a major role in demand. A quarter that retains attractive details while displaying unique visual characteristics can become a conversation piece within the hobby. Collectors often enjoy owning coins that have a story behind them, especially when those coins present features that encourage closer examination. The hunt for unusual and eye-catching pieces is part of what makes coin collecting so exciting. Based on the value information provided for this video, this 1979 Washington quarter without a mint mark, showing black dots, a gray layer, reverse side dark spotting, and described as being in fine condition, is estimated at approximately $135,500. That number immediately grabs attention because it transforms an ordinary-looking quarter into something that feels far more significant. It reminds collectors why they continue searching through old collections and circulation finds. The possibility of discovering a fascinating coin is what keeps the excitement alive. Whether that estimate reflects actual market transactions would require authentication, grading, and expert evaluation, but one thing is certain. Unusual coins continue to capture the imagination of collectors across America. Every collection begins with curiosity, and every great discovery starts with taking a closer look. If you are a collector, never rush past an older Washington quarter. Study the date. Examine the surfaces. Look closely at every detail. Sometimes the most interesting finds are hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone patient enough to notice them. The next coins in today's countdown become even more surprising, even more mysterious, and even more exciting. Some collectors spend years searching for pieces that stand out from the ordinary. You will not want to miss what comes next. This is EagleCoins, bringing you fresh coin discoveries, collector stories, and exciting coin content every single day. Stay tuned, because the next coin on our list could completely change the way you look at Washington quarters forever. Next up, now get ready, because the second coin in today's countdown takes the mystery to an entirely different level. Most people see an old Washington quarter and instantly think it is just another piece of spare change from decades ago. But serious collectors know something the average person does not. Sometimes an older coin carries a look, a presence, and a story that makes people stop in their tracks. And today's coin is exactly that kind of discovery. This is the 1960 with D Washington quarter dollar. At first glance, it looks aged, worn, and heavily circulated. But the moment collectors begin studying the surface, things start becoming much more interesting. A dark black layer spreads across parts of the coin. Brown spots appear around the design and edges. The reverse side shows additional dark surface characteristics that immediately attract attention. Suddenly, this quarter no longer looks ordinary. It looks like a survivor. It looks like a coin that has traveled through American history and carried its story for more than 60 years. And that is where the excitement begins. The year 1960 was one of the final years before the United States ended regular silver quarter production. That alone makes these quarters fascinating to collectors today. Unlike modern quarters, the 1960D Washington quarter was struck with 90% silver and 10% copper. That means this coin comes from an era when American pocket change actually contained precious metal. Think about that for a moment. This coin was already circulating long before most modern collectors were even born. It moved through countless hands, crossed cities, passed through businesses, and survived generations of economic change. Yet somehow it still exists today, carrying every mark, every layer, and every sign of its long journey through history. The Denver Mint produced more than 63 million of these quarters in 1960, identified by the famous D Mint mark. But here is what makes collecting so exciting. Millions may have been produced, yet not every coin survived in the same way. Some were lost. Some were melted. Some were damaged beyond recognition. And some developed unusual appearances that continue attracting attention from collectors decades later. That is exactly why coins like this become conversation pieces. The dark black layer seen across portions of this quarter creates a dramatic appearance that instantly separates it from bright modern coins. Combined with the brown spotting around the edges and across parts of the design, the coin develops a look that feels mysterious and historic. It almost appears as though the coin has been protecting a secret for generations. Collectors love coins that tell stories. Every mark creates questions. Where was it stored? Who carried it? How many decades did it spend in circulation? What events happened while this coin quietly moved from pocket to pocket across America? Those unanswered questions create the emotional connection that makes coin collecting so addictive. The Washington quarter itself carries enormous historical importance. Designed by John Flanagan, the series was originally introduced to honor George Washington and became one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. The powerful portrait on the obverse and the eagle on the reverse created a design that remained iconic for generations. Link 3. When collectors examine older silver Washington quarters, they are not simply looking at metal. They are holding a surviving piece of American history. And when unusual surface characteristics appear on a coin that has already survived for more than 6 decades, the curiosity level rises even higher. Many experienced collectors spend years searching through old collections, hoping to discover something that stands apart from ordinary examples. Discussions across collector communities often become especially active whenever unusual silver Washington quarters appear with striking surface features or uncommon visual characteristics. That hunt is what keeps collectors searching. That possibility is what keeps treasure hunters checking old coin jars. And that excitement is what keeps rare coin stories alive. Now let us talk about condition. This particular example is described as circulated condition, showing a black layer, brown spotting, edge characteristics, and additional dark appearance on the reverse side. While many circulated coins show wear, collectors often pay close attention to examples that develop distinctive appearances because unusual visual traits can make a coin stand out among thousands of ordinary pieces. That uniqueness becomes part of the coin's identity. It becomes part of its story. And sometimes, story is exactly what drives collector fascination. Now comes the moment everyone has been waiting for. Based on the value information provided for this video, this 1960 with D Washington quarter with the described black layer, brown spots, edge characteristics, reverse side dark appearance, and circulated condition is presented with an estimated market value of approximately $220,000. The number itself is enough to make collectors look twice. Suddenly, a quarter that most people would overlook transforms into something that feels extraordinary. The idea that a decades-old coin could attract this level of attention is exactly why coin collecting continues to capture imaginations across the United States. Of course, actual collectible value depends on authentication, grading, rarity verification, and market demand, but one thing remains true. Older silver Washington quarters continue holding a special place in the hearts of collectors. For anyone building a collection, never ignore older silver quarters. Study every detail. Check every date. Inspect every mint mark. Look carefully at the surfaces. Sometimes the most fascinating coins are hiding where nobody expects them. And trust me, what comes next in today's countdown is even more surprising. If this coin caught your attention, wait until you see coin number 3. The next discovery pushes the mystery even further and could leave collectors completely stunned. This is EagleCoins, bringing fresh coin discoveries, collector excitement, hidden treasures, and rare coin stories every single day. Stay tuned because the next coin may be the one everyone wishes they had found first. Next up, if you thought the first 2 coins were impressive, prepare yourself for something that could completely change the way you look at ordinary Washington quarters. Because the third coin in today's countdown is the kind of coin that many people would spend without a second thought. That is exactly what makes this story so fascinating. Imagine finding a quarter that appears normal from a distance. It sits quietly among countless other coins. Nothing immediately screams that it deserves special attention. Most people would glance at it and move on. But experienced collectors know better. They know that sometimes the most surprising discoveries are hidden inside the most ordinary-looking coins. And today's coin number 3 is a perfect example. This is the 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark. At first glance, its appearance creates an immediate sense of curiosity. The coin displays an attractive overall look with visible detail remaining throughout the design. But the real mystery begins when attention shifts to the reverse side. There, collectors notice unusual gray dots scattered across portions of the surface. Those small details may not seem important to the average person. To a collector, however, every unusual feature tells a story. Every mark raises questions. Every detail becomes a part of the investigation. And that investigation is where the excitement truly begins. The Washington Quarter Series remains one of the most iconic coin programs ever produced by the United States. Introduced in 1932, the design quickly became one of the most recognized symbols in American coinage. For decades, generations of Americans carried these coins in their pockets, used them in everyday transactions, and unknowingly helped create the stories that collectors treasure today. The year 1974 represents an interesting period in American history. The nation was experiencing major cultural, economic, and political changes. During that time, millions of quarters entered circulation and became part of everyday life across the country. Yet among those countless coins, certain examples managed to capture attention decades later. That is exactly what makes collecting so exciting. Nobody knows which coins will become the center of future conversations. Nobody knows which examples will survive for generations. And nobody knows which discoveries are still waiting to be found. This particular 1974 Washington quarter carries an appearance that immediately sparks interest. The attractive overall presentation gives the coin visual appeal, while the gray dots on the reverse side create a distinctive look that encourages closer examination. Collectors often enjoy coins that stand apart visually, not because they necessarily know every answer, but because unusual characteristics create mystery. Mystery creates curiosity, and curiosity drives the entire hobby. When a collector examines a coin like this, the process becomes much more than simply looking at metal. They begin asking questions. Where has this coin been stored? How many hands carried it through the decades? What conditions created its current appearance? How did those gray dots develop over time? The longer someone studies the coin, the more intriguing the story becomes. That emotional connection is one of the reasons coin collecting continues growing year after year. Collectors are not simply gathering objects. They are preserving pieces of history. They are protecting stories. They are keeping alive small pieces of America's past. The composition of the 1974 Washington quarter reflects the modern-clad era of United States coinage. Unlike earlier silver quarters, these coins were produced using a copper-nickel-clad construction designed for durability and long-term circulation. Millions entered commerce, but decades later, surviving examples can display dramatically different appearances depending on how they were stored, handled, and preserved. That difference is what keeps collectors searching. Every coin has its own personality. Every coin has its own history. And every coin has its own journey. Some remain bright and clean. Some become heavily worn. Some develop unusual characteristics that instantly attract attention. This example falls into that fascinating category where appearance becomes part of the story. Its beautiful overall look, combined with the unusual gray dots on the reverse side, creates an eye-catching presentation that many collectors would enjoy examining. Now, let us talk about demand. One thing that experienced collectors understand is that interest often follows uniqueness. Coins that encourage discussion naturally attract attention. A quarter that inspires questions, sparks conversations, and creates curiosity can become a memorable part of a collection. That is especially true when the coin has survived for more than 50 years while maintaining an appealing appearance. Collectors appreciate that kind of longevity. They appreciate history. And they appreciate coins that feel different from the thousands of ordinary examples encountered every day. Now comes the reveal everyone has been waiting for. Based on the value information provided for this video, this 1974 Washington quarter without a mint mark, featuring gray dots on the reverse side and described as having a beautiful look in fine condition, is presented with an estimated market value of approximately $140,300. The moment a number like that enters the conversation, attention immediately shifts. Suddenly, a coin that many people would overlook becomes something far more exciting. It becomes a discovery. It becomes a conversation piece. It becomes the kind of coin that reminds collectors why they continue searching through old collections, inherited coin boxes, estate finds, and forgotten jars of change. Of course, actual collectible values depend on authentication, grading, rarity verification, and current market demand. But one thing remains certain. The fascination surrounding unusual Washington quarters continues to grow. Collectors remain eager to discover coins that tell unique stories, and examples with distinctive appearances continue attracting attention throughout the hobby. For collectors watching today, remember this important lesson. Never judge a coin too quickly. Always examine both sides carefully. Pay attention to unusual details. Study every date. Check every surface. Because the next remarkable discovery may already be sitting in a collection waiting to be noticed. And now, the countdown is about to reach its final stage. Coin number 4 is next. And if you thought the first 3 discoveries were surprising, wait until you see the final Washington quarter in today's video. The last coin may be the most unforgettable one yet. This is EagleCoins, bringing fresh coin discoveries, hidden treasures, collector excitement, and fascinating coin stories every single day. Make sure you stay with us until the very end, because the biggest surprise of today's countdown is still ahead. Next up, and now, the moment you have been waiting for has finally arrived. We have reached coin number 4, the final coin in today's countdown. The previous coins were fascinating. They carried history, mystery, and collector appeal. But this last Washington quarter brings something different to the table. It proves once again that appearances can be deceiving and that some of the most interesting coins are the ones people least expect. Take a moment and imagine this. A collector opens an old coin album, flips through page after page, and suddenly stops. One coin immediately grabs attention. Not because it is covered in gold. Not because it shines brighter than every other coin. Instead, it stands out because it possesses a unique appearance that sparks curiosity the moment it is seen. That coin is today's final discovery, the 1993 with S Washington quarter. At first glance, many people might assume a quarter from the 1990s is too modern to be exciting. That assumption is exactly why so many interesting coins are overlooked every year. Experienced collectors know better. They understand that age is only one part of the story. The real excitement comes from examining the details. And this quarter certainly has details worth talking about. The coin displays a beautiful overall appearance that immediately catches the eye. On the reverse side, collectors notice brown dots scattered across portions of the surface. Those characteristics create a distinctive visual identity that separates the coin from countless ordinary examples. The moment collectors notice something unusual, the investigation begins. Questions start forming. Where did the coin spend its years? How did it develop its current appearance? What journey brought it to this point? Those questions are part of what makes coin collecting such an exciting hobby. Every coin tells a story. Some stories are obvious. Others remain hidden beneath the surface, waiting for curious collectors to uncover them. The Washington Quarter series has been a cornerstone of American coinage for generations. Since its introduction in 1932, the design has become one of the most recognized images in the United States. Millions of Americans have carried Washington quarters in their pockets without realizing they were holding a small piece of history. By '93, the Washington quarter had already become a familiar part of everyday American life. Yet certain examples from that year continue attracting attention among collectors because of their unique characteristics, preservation, and overall appeal. This particular quarter carries an additional detail that collectors immediately notice: the S mint mark. Coins carrying the S mint mark are associated with the San Francisco Mint, a facility that has played an important role in American coin production for generations. For many collectors, the presence of an S mint mark instantly adds another layer of interest because it creates a direct connection to one of the most historic mints in the nation. That connection matters. Collectors love coins with stories. Collectors love coins with history. And collectors especially love coins that stand apart from the ordinary. As the years pass, surviving examples develop individual personalities. Some become heavily worn. Some remain carefully preserved. Others acquire distinctive surface characteristics that make them memorable. This quarter falls into that memorable category. Its attractive appearance combined with the brown dots visible on the reverse side creates a look that invites closer inspection. The more time someone spends studying the coin, the more fascinating it becomes. That is one of the biggest reasons coin collecting remains so popular. The thrill is not only in finding a coin. The thrill is in discovering something interesting about that coin. The thrill is in holding history in your hands and wondering about everything it experienced before reaching your collection. For serious collectors, attention to detail is everything. A single feature can spark conversations. A unique appearance can make a coin unforgettable. A distinctive example can become one of the most talked about pieces in an entire collection. That possibility is what keeps collectors searching. That possibility is what keeps treasure hunters examining old collections. And that possibility is what keeps the hobby alive generation after generation. Now comes the final reveal. Based on the value information provided for this video, this 1993 with S Washington quarter, featuring brown dots on the reverse side, a beautiful overall appearance, and described as being in fine condition, is presented with an estimated market value of approximately $90,500. The moment a figure like that enters the discussion, people begin looking at ordinary quarters differently. Suddenly, what appeared to be a simple coin becomes something much more intriguing. It becomes a symbol of possibility. It becomes a reminder that extraordinary discoveries often hide in the most unexpected places. Of course, actual collectible values depend on professional authentication, grading, rarity verification, and current market demand. But one thing is absolutely clear. Coins continue capturing the imagination of collectors across America. The excitement of discovery never gets old. The mystery never disappears. And the hunt for the next great find never truly ends. As we close today's countdown, remember the incredible journey we have taken together. We explored 4 fascinating Washington quarters, each with its own story, its own appearance, and its own collector appeal. From decades-old survivors to eye-catching examples with distinctive characteristics, every coin reminded us why coin collecting remains one of the most exciting hobbies in the world. Before you spend your next quarter, take a closer look. Examine the date. Check the mint mark. Study both sides carefully, because you never know what story might be hiding in plain sight. And who knows? Your next discovery could be the coin that everyone else overlooked. Thank you for watching EagleCoins. Our channel brings you fresh, rare coin discoveries, hidden treasures, collector insights, exciting countdowns, and fascinating coin stories every single day. Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us for the next adventure because another incredible coin discovery could be waiting just around the corner.